Could you survive Kong's fart? A question I've never even considered asking myself until Goji Center made this video, and now I'm freaking super interested. There's probably some crazy technical reasons we literally can't survive his fart. I mean, personally, I could survive Kong's fart. I could survive some crazy stuff, a fart for sure. It's a fart for God's sakes. But Goji Center's probably got some reasons it's gonna be tough. Leave a like, subscribe to Goji Center, obviously, and let's get into it. Damn. A poo.
You clicked on this video for the same reason we decided to study this topic: curiosity.
It's true.
In this episode, we'll demonstrate what it feels like to stand near the receiving end of what could possibly be the smelliest, most detestable, and lethal butthole in history.
Goddamn.
And figure out whether or not you'll survive if standing close when this fella lets out a big one.
I need to rewind that. That's another key Goji Center moment in history right there, that sentence.
Could possibly be the smelliest, most detestable, and lethal butthole in history.
Smelliest, most detestable, and lethal butthole in history. There it is.
And figure out whether or not you'll survive if standing close when this fella lets out a big one.
Good God!
By the end of this episode, you will probably just prefer Kong to give you the same treatment Colonel Packard got. Why Kong, though? Because Goji Center likes picking on Kong. Now, it's actually because he happens to be a titan that we can actually study relatively accurately.
I'm pretty sure it's because he's the only one with a butthole is what it is.
If you've been following us for some time now, you'll know we try our best to test our science to get you the most accurate metrics possible. And it just so happens that Kong has a similar biology to the most rigorously studied and disgusting creatures across history, Homo sapiens. That's right, scientists have delved deep.
We are
into
pretty
farts,
disgusting.
so much so that it has its own field of study.
My God.
Fartology, analyzing the abominable gaseous product that shoots out of your ass from every angle possible.
Abominable?
Since Kong has a similar biology to these disgusting primates, humans make a good reference from which we can scale up to Kong. Additionally, because farts are a byproduct of digestion, which requires eating solid food, the act of farting is actually something Kong could actually do. So, grab a gas mask, because today we'll discuss 3 ways Kong's fart could hurt you, and see if those methods would go as far as sending you in a coffin.
The last one showed fire. When the hell when does fire go? Is this gas, is this farts flammable?
Sending
oh my God.
you in a coffin. In this scenario, we have our monarch scientist who happens to be unlucky to be standing near Kong's ass. And let's pause here and see what just happened.
My God.
About how much gas are we talking here? Research shows that the average human fart, a big one that is, has a volume between 0.05 and 0.1 liters of gas.
Get that dude some toilet paper. Did you guys just see that?
Here's the atomic breakdown for you. All in all, we are talking about 16 milligrams of gas.
Dude, we could start our own, like, freaking nebulas with just our farts. That's crazy.
Now let's scale these numbers up using the square cube law and using adjusted numbers between humans and gorillas. Because of matching body types, we find that Kong could eject a gaseous omission that weighs in at nearly 5 kilograms of pure gas.
Is that a lot? I don't know.
That's not a lot of fart juice, Goji. Unless you're not a flatologist, that may not sound like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Consider just how much space that amount of gas is going to take up. If gathered up in a container under neutral pressure, a single Kong fart could fill 8,000 gallons, or 1,000 cubic feet in a pure concentration, and take up a lot more space once the gases are shot out of the poop chute. Considering that your typical burst of breaking wind travels at roughly 7 meters per second, within just a few moments, anybody within about 35 meters or 115 feet of the big monkey is about to have a very bad time.
Just make sure your mouth is closed.
To method number 1, poisoning. Want to know something crazy about human breathing? Inhaling and exhaling is basically your body's cells fighting a constant battle against poisonous carbon dioxide.
Yes!
We humans like to breathe in about 21% of oxygen when we inhale. That burning sensation you feel when you hold your breath is basically your body starting to feel poisonous buildup that needs to be ejected and replaced with oxygen. In this scenario, the protector of humanity with the not-so-benevolent sphincter just blew almost all the oxygen available and replaced it with just about the last thing you want to breathe.
Benevolent sphincter. That was pause-worthy.
The problem here is the carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide found in this fart. Anyone within 20 meters of this blast zone is at a huge risk of fatal CO2 poisoning. especially given carbon dioxide is heavier than the air around it.
Okay, because there's just no oxygen.
At foot level, all the carbon dioxide would fall on you, pushing away all other gases and drowning you in an invisible cloud you couldn't see the extent of.
You know what he's forgetting to mention as well is like the most lethal pink eye you've ever seen, since that's caused by like poop particles getting in your eye. You can have craziest
Heavy
pink eye.
amounts of carbon dioxide can settle in the lungs, causing near-instant nerve damage. Unconsciousness can happen almost instantly, with respiratory arrest happening within
What a way to go out, man.
In other words, any unfortunate dude underneath this Kong-sized fart would get knocked down before they even realized what happened. Without fresh air or medical assistance, death can come within minutes due to the brain starving from oxygen. This is the lesser of the two evils here.
That's
Hydrogen
crazy.
sulfide is even worse. You may have noticed that we haven't covered the smell yet. Despite the fact that this stuff only makes 1% of farts, this gas...
They've really used this clip of Brie Larson. They're like, yeah, she looks like she just let a fart out.
Notice
like,
that we haven't covered the smell yet. Despite the fact
or
that
like
this
she's
stuff
smelling
only makes
it.
1% of farts, this gas is what gives it all the rancid stink. Its concentration is around 1 part per a million molecules, but it can be increased with certain factors. Scientists that study farts have documented hydrogen sulfide levels that can go off the charts at even 300 parts per million. Kong, with his big, robust body made of very dense tissues, is also going to have tough internal
Look at
organs,
that bulge.
meaning that they will be insulated and very, very hot. This is the perfect environment to create gut bacteria to make hydrogen sulfide with the right fuel. And speaking of fuel, diet can factor a lot. Herbivores do fart, that's true, but the title of the most toxic fart will go to carnivores and omnivores.
I was thinking about diet this whole time. I was like, okay, because like I weightlift a lot. I have a pretty like gross body gaining diet also, but I don't think Kong eats any like whey protein, and I feel like that's really what does it.
Whose diet is much higher in sulfur, prompting the guts to produce even more hydrogen sulfide than normal.
Oh,
and
I
let's
see.
take a look at what Kong has been snacking on. How bad could it be? It's not like he's shown a preference for high sulfur foods like seafood and... oh dear. Well, as if we needed more fuel to the fire here.
Never mind, dude. Warbat farts gotta be the worst thing on the planet.
The big ape chowing down on the green good warbat might make things even worse for anyone in the fart blast zone.
Warbat
Body
farts.
tissues with an exceeding amount of sulfur can often wind up turning the blood green. This can even happen in humans with a condition called self-hemoglobin. So, snacking on a warbat will
Green
turn
Goblin?
this into a Kong fart on steroids situation. At 100 parts per million, this gas can cause uncontrollable coughing, eye irritation, dizziness, and lead to passing out. Add some warbat juice into the mix, and we have 500 ppm, where victims drop to the ground in spasm, experience temporary blindness, and suffocation within a
Jesus.
minute.
What, you been eating
700
warbats?
ppm or more, instantaneous knockout with brain damage happening soon after. With this one, you'll at least only have to smell this crap once. The
Well,
only
that's
safe
good.
place from these fumes would be standing higher up. These two gases are heavy, so Gia, for instance, would be completely safe atop Kong's palm or on his shoulder. Down here, though, this kinda sucks for our test dummy. Oh, by the way, this was one of those silent killer farts. Yeah, you may have noticed that this previous fart didn't even make a sound. The next one will.
I didn't notice.
Method number 2, the rattling.
Is that
That's
like
the hard-
a rattling fart, like when it comes out like an earthquake?
Rattling your body is going to suffer if
Oh.
standing at close proximity to the big ape's butthole. Now, let's ignore for a moment that the even higher concentration of gases will knock you out in seconds. Let's focus on the sound. But first, we're going to delve into what makes a fart sound like a fart. More specifically, that iconic ripping sound produced by the anus as gases are being pushed outwards from the sphincter.
Too
The
much.
mechanics of this are simple. If you buzz your lips, you'll more or less make a fart sound. The tighter your ass muscles were at the time of farting, the louder the sound will be.
What?
If those muscles are relaxed, then that fart will probably not make a sound. So
Dude, I did not sign up for this information. I did not.
if the great ape's butthole happened to be, not relaxed, then the sound would be much greater than standing next to the loudest fart recorded in history. One let loose by someone named Paul Hunn on May 11th, 1972 in Flint, Michigan.
What the hell?
A fart that lasted 2 minutes and 42 seconds and allegedly reaching levels of 118.1 decibels. Louder than a rock concert or a chainsaw.
There's no way.
Now note that we are dealing.
There's no way. What Koji Center just said is crazier than this entire video's concept. The world record fart was 2 minutes long and louder than a chainsaw. There's no way.
With a titan that is many times larger than our human. We calculated this on the back end and did not bore you with the math. Keep in mind that it only takes 150 to rupture your eardrums. Depending on how close you are to the Titan's anus, being at point-blank range will mean certain death due to the blast, assuming the fart lasted 4 seconds. Not to mention if this fart was loaded with any cargo to come shooting out with it.
Not
this
cargo!
Fart still has more to give, with method number 3, ignition.
You see Kong's face after
we are about
cargo?
to answer what we have all been thinking since this tale of cutting some cheese resulted in some lives getting cut short.
Not the
what
cheese.
if someone lit it? Maybe the G-Man was angry that Kong made him breathe his detestable fumes and...
Can you imagine if Godzilla's atomic breath ignited one of Kong's farts in battle? I cannot even fathom.
Fired an atomic breath at him. Or maybe some unlucky bastard just happened to be lighting up a cigarette behind the great ape. Hydrogen produced by gut bacteria is one of the most flammable gases in existence, and farts have a lot of it. Remember, this gas makes up to 21% of a fart's mass, meaning that this is over a kilogram of hydrogen. And because it's a very light gas, it can spread over a huge area. If this gas is fired out at 7 meters per second, the spread of hydrogen mixed with the oxygen in the air would ignite almost instantaneously. Assuming only 80% of the hydrogen lights up, the resulting blast wave would create nearly 110,000 kilojoules of energy in a worst-case scenario.
What the hell?
Hydrogen is so explosive that a single gram of pure hydrogen has the same energy potential as 28 times that mass in pure TNT. Fatal damage from explosive shockwaves would hit people 10 meters away. People 30 meters away would suffer from permanent eardrum damage and deafness atop a massive concussion, which could also be lethal. That's right. For a more realistic scenario, if Kong ever made a mistake to let one rip while standing in an Iwi village and there was a torch nearby, he risks wiping out a good chunk of the population.
I can't even handle this information because there's no reason Kong would ever suspect his farts would do that. It would totally happen. Bro could decimate the entire village.
And making the rest of them deaf.
This is all accurate.
Torch? Well, just a big rumble and mass intoxication, people puking all over the place, etc. Kong's fart is a true weapon of mass destruction and would, funnily enough, actually be a viable weapon in combat.
I can't believe that. I can't believe how fragile the Iwi's life is, that one of Kong's farts would have just cost the whole tribe everything anyways. That is hysterical. Well, you know what? I've come to accept the fact that maybe Kong's farts would have some negative impacts. I was still like resisting towards the end. I was like, okay, just like cover your mouth and run like hell till you're out of the gases. You know what I mean? Just run straight in any direction until you can breathe. But that last one was like the equivalent of a small atomic bomb coming out of a Kong's butt. So it's like that specifically? No, I don't think I'd be able to survive that. There's no way. I guess let's just be grateful that only one of these kaiju has a butthole. That's good content, baby. Leave a like, subscribe to Kaiju Center because they just posted the greatest video of 2024. And I'll see you next time.